How advanced was the NCR? Well, first, the question's flawed. Modernization theory is outdated, and we don't really talk in those terms anymore. But let's humor the question anyway. In 2161, Shady Sands was a completely new construction. Remember that unlike the Capital Waste or the Commonwealth, the OG games didn't limit themselves to a single city. Shady Sands was a new society. Those on the river, like the old river valley civilizations of the ancient world, Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus River Valley civilization, Mesoamerica, or the Huanghe in ancient China. This image is as close as Street View could get me to Shady Sands. Notice the lack of much there. Shady Sands was a new city, starting a new society, not some faction picking through the ruins and sleeping in a room with a skeleton for 200 years. Fallout 2 tells us that each vault had 2 Geks, before Fallout 3 retcon that point, and that most vaults use theirs quickly to rebuild the surface like Vault City did. Presumably, Shady Sands did as well. By the time we get to 2241, Shady Sands is part of a nation of 500,000 people. Shady Sands itself has roads. In 2161, there were no paved roads here at all, meaning these aren't pre-war roads. These are newly paved asphalt. Notice the fire hydrants and sewers. So we have water systems built, again, newly built infrastructure. Notice we have electricity. So again, that's infrastructure being built post-war because that was not here pre-war. Notice that the NCR has police in uniform. Law enforcement is organized. The government actually has structure. It's not just some group of militiamen drafted up, appointed to keep the peace. It's an actual institution with rule of law. There's a prison. Historically, prison populations were low because societies couldn't afford to feed people that weren't also being productive. In English common law, the distinction between felonies and lesser crimes were that most felonies carried the death penalty. The fact that the NCR has a prison population means they have resources to feed a prison population. The government of the NCR was elected. This isn't some warlord or tribal elder making decisions. This is a government as an institution with rules and procedures and a degree of separation of power. Democracy requires rule of law. Democracy can't function unless the people elected themselves are subject to the law. Let me repeat that point. Democracy can't function unless the people elected are themselves subject to the law. Repeating that for no reason. And yes, I know Tandy got elected many times. Corruption as a critique of democracy isn't a new idea, and it's not one original to Caesar. But as the Courier can point out, Tandy was in fact elected by the people. Going back to modernization theory, there is debate about whether economic prosperity leads to liberal democracy or liberal democracy leads to prosperity. The NCR, though, has both at this point, so the debate isn't as relevant to it. By 2281, the nation had grown more than double in size since 2241. Presumably, the population has grown in kind, meaning it's not unreasonable that the NCR had 1 million citizens by that point. If those estimates are correct and the NCR were a real nation today, it would be larger than 37 real-world nations. And no, the NCR was not facing food shortages or famines. It was not on the verge of collapse. If anything, it was at its peak. It's true the NCR scientists were predicting future food shortages due to their rapid population growth, and they were working to prevent them. You know who else was facing food shortages? Arroyo and Follett too, and the situation looked radically different from the NCR in New Vegas. Arroyo's best plan involved a member of the tribe going out in an act of desperation to find a near mythical artifact that might not even have existed to fix the problem. It's a miracle that it even worked. The NCR, in contrast, had government-funded scientific institutions with labs working to solve the problem before it happened. Most notably of all, though, the NCR had hegemonic power. Hegemony is a political science term for when a nation has the ability to shape the international system of politics. If international politics is a game, hegemony is the ability to write the rules of that game. And for much of the 18th and 19th century, Britain had this hegemony. In the 20th century, and so far in the 21st, especially since World War II, the US has had that power. The Cold War can be read as an attempt by the USSR to challenge US's hegemonic power. Despite the conflict, the USSR more or less worked within the international system the US had inherited from the UK. When the NCR is fighting the Mojave campaign, they are the ones determining the course of that war. They want control of Hoover Dam, and it's the NCR desire for the dam that determines that this war even happens. Caesar doesn't seem to really care about the dam. He just wants a powerful enemy to fight for his misinterpretation of Hegelian dialectics. House signs a treaty to keep the NCR at bay, but ultimately it's doing so purely in response to the NCR threatening him. Even the independent ending has you ostensibly fighting for the NCR. No Oliver's reaction to you at the end, before you can choose to hurl him off the dam or run with his tails between his legs. So even yes man's anarchists are playing the game according to NCR rules in that sense. And keep in mind that in all of this, the NCR is also fighting in Mexico at the same time. The Mojave campaign is just one war as a part of a general expansionist policy of a modern-style nation-state. All of this just means that it stretches suspension of disbelief too far to think the NCR collapsed because of the loss of their capital. A government this large should have contingency plans in place for something exactly like that. And all those people, not in Shady Sands, but in the rest of the NCR, all of those million citizens had to go somewhere or do something even if their government fell, and yet the TV show just doesn't show that. Even if all those problems were dealt with off screen, that still makes it poor writing. It glosses over exactly what would be interesting about that scenario to tell an unrelated story about someone trying to build a generator in some family drama.